October 25th, 1944. The Philippine Sea churns in the wake of hundreds of warships. American carriers burn in the water. Destroyers charge into suicide runs. It's the Battle of Lee Gulf, the largest naval battle in human history. But let's change one thing. Cutting through the Suros Strait, where USS Melvin should be, is something no one understands. A 9,700-ton guided missile destroyer from 2023. The USS Arleigh Burke Flight 3 dropped into a battle it wasn't built for. So, what happens when the most advanced destroyer on Earth is unleashed during one of history's most brutal naval battles? Can it single-handedly stop the Imperial Japanese Navy's gambit? Or is it just one ship against more than 60? The Arleigh Burke Flight 3 isn't just any old destroyer. It's a 509-foot blade of steel and circuits, representing 80 years of technological evolution compressed into one whole. It's powered by 4 gas turbines that generate 100,000 horsepower, enough to push that behemoth to speeds over 35 miles per hour. Impressive as that is, the main course is what's hidden in its 96 vertical launch cells. Picture missile silos buried in the deck, each one loaded with everything from SM-6 and SM-2 long-range surface-to-air missiles, Tomahawk cruise missiles with 1,000 kilometers range, and ESSM quad-packed defensive missiles for close range. The ship's brain is an AN Spy-6 radar, a 3D radar that tracks hundreds of targets simultaneously, calculating intercept points faster than you can blink, and can see through darkness, storms, and smoke like they don't exist. Topping it all off is an electronic warfare system that can fry enemy electronics. Torpedo tubes loaded with homing weapons, and a 5-inch gun that puts shells exactly where the computer says they'll hurt most. But Admiral Teo Kurita's center force is no pushover. Leading his charge is Yamato and Musashi, the 2 largest battleships ever built. Each one displaces 72,000 tons and has 18.1-inch guns that fire shells, each the weight of a small car. One good hit is expected to delete an enemy destroyer from existence. Supporting them are 3 more battleships, including the Gato with her 16-inch rifles, as well as 10 heavy cruisers that bristle with 8-inch guns and oxygen-powered long lance torpedoes. The best ship killers of World War II. In front are 15 destroyers that screen the giants, ready to launch torpedo spreads meant to crack any ship in their way in half. Opposing the Burke are veteran warships crewed by men who've been fighting across the Pacific for years. They've practiced night battles until they can reload in pitch darkness. Their gunnery is accurate, their torpedoes lethal, and their resolve absolute. Combined with Admiral Nishimura's Southern Force and Ozawa's carrier group, the Japanese are throwing over 60 warships at Lee Gulf. It's their last roll of the dice. They will succeed here or watch their empire crumble. 3 a.m. south of Samar, the Arleigh Burke Spy-6 radar locks onto Kurita's center force, the main Japanese battle group, still 150 kilometers to the north. It shows up in incredible detail on screens that make the control room look like Times Square. Every ship is tracked, cataloged, and assigned a threat priority before they know what they're fighting. In 1944, the Japanese are effectively blind. Their first radar system, the Tachi-3, exists, but it still hasn't been installed on a destroyer, so the Japanese ships rely on lookouts with binoculars, and they have no idea they are being watched. The captain aboard the Burke doesn't hesitate as he commands, "Weapons free!" The first Tomahawk missile erupts from its cell at 3:47 a.m., before another, and another. 6 cruise missiles streak north at 900 kilometers per hour, 50 feet above the waves. No lookout can spot them in the darkness. Aboard Yamato, Admiral Ugaki is reviewing battle plans when his flagship simply explodes. The Tomahawk punches through the superstructure and detonates inside the command bridge. The blast obliterates the nerve center of the fleet, while secondary explosions ripple through the ship. Within seconds, the pride of the Imperial Navy is ablaze, 4 hours before the crew would have been ordered to their battle stations in the original timeline. It's enough to make hardened soldiers lose hope. But since we've already dropped in a destroyer from the future, why not drop in an iPhone too so they can ease their minds with today's sponsor, BetterHelp? In all seriousness, I've personally battled some mental problems that made me feel stuck and lost. It's something I've put off getting help for because I didn't want to deal with driving around and calling therapists for hours to find a good fit. I know being a YouTuber is like waving a flag that says, "I'm unemployed, but trust me, it's a lot of work, and that means there's no time to deal with the headaches that come with looking for a therapist." BetterHelp makes therapy easier than ever. You fill out a quick questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist in just a couple of days. If the match isn't the right fit, you can switch anytime at no extra cost. A therapist can help you see things differently, give you practical tools, and help you navigate life's battles. As long as what you're battling isn't an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. They've got over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, so it's a platform you can feel confident in. Procrastinate homework, chores, whatever. But please don't procrastinate taking care of your mental health. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/tobraincells to get 10% off your first month. Thanks to BetterHelp for supporting the channel. Now let's get back in on the Japanese fleet. Musashi takes 2 hits, one in her forward magazine and one in her engine rooms. The first turns her bow into a steel inferno. The second kills her propulsion, leaving the ship and its crew dead in the water, burning and sinking. The horizon is still pitch black, and the 2,500-man crew is out of commission before they realize the battle started. The Japanese fleet dissolves into chaos. Ships collide in the darkness, trying to avoid the darkness all around them. Radio channels flood with panicked reports of submarines, mines, or ghost bombers. Nobody can comprehend that one destroyer 150 kilometers away just decapitated their battle line. By dawn, when American escort carriers would have launched their planes off Samar, Korea's center force is already crippled, and the Arleigh Burke isn't done. The destroyer races north at 35 knots when Japanese float planes finally spot it, a lone gray shape slicing through the morning seas. Korea's surviving ships move to engage what they think is a 1940s American cruiser. At 75 kilometers, the Burke opens up with a barrage of SM-6 missiles. The heavy cruiser Chukai disintegrates when a Mach 3.5 missile hits her bridge. Suzuya is hit as well, and its ammunition magazines detonate in the blaze seconds later. Japanese 8-inch shells begin falling all around the destroyer as every ship realizes its only target. But hitting a target moving at 35 knots from 40 kilometers away, let's just say it's difficult. Japanese gunnery, excellent by 1944 standards, becomes guesswork. The Burke's 5-inch guns begin to fire. Its radar-guided shells airburst over Japanese destroyers, shredding their bridge crews with tungsten rain. Without orders or coordination, the smaller ships scatter. Meanwhile, 200 kilometers south beyond the islands of Lee, Admiral Nishimura's southern force pushes into Sura Strait, aiming to flank the American fleet from below. Instead, they sail right into the lone destroyer's killing field and are immediately identified by its radar. The Burke launches a spread of 8 Tomahawks as the Japanese ships maneuver the narrow strait. The battleship Fuso splits in half when 3 missiles make contact, and Yamashiro burns from bow to stern. The destroyer Michiishio simply vanishes in a ball of flames. The surviving Japanese destroyers launch desperate torpedo spreads, but the Burke's sonar tracks everyone while still simultaneously tracking the ships they came from. The Burke dances between torpedoes at 35 knots, but missiles are finite, and by now the destroyer's vertical launch cells are running low. As morning breaks, far to the north in the Philippine Sea, Admiral Azawa's decoy carrier force comes into view on radar. 4 more carriers with barely 100 planes between them, just a shadow of their Pearl Harbor glory that launches everything they have. The Burke's remaining SM-2s and ESSM strike skyward and create an umbrella of death. The last hope, Japanese AM-600 and Kate torpedo bombers, begin to explode 50 kilometers out, then 30 kilometers out, then 10. The few that make it to attack range are met by the Phalanx CIWS, a swiveling Gatling gun that spits 4,500 rounds per minute, designed for short-range missiles and enemy aircraft that have penetrated outer defenses. A brave Zero pilot, already trailing smoke, aims for the destroyer's bridge. The Phalanx tracks him automatically, and in the span of 2 heartbeats, A wall of 20 millimeters tungsten turns the pilot and his plane into falling scrap metal that splashes into the sea. With air threats neutralized and missiles depleted, the Burt closes on the carriers with her gun. From 15 kilometers, radar-guided 5-inch shells fire in the direction of the Zui Kakaku, aimed at her aviation fuel bunkers, and the carrier that launched the Pearl Harbor attack bursts into flames. The Zuiho and Chitos follow, their unarmored decks no match for modern ammunition. By noon on October 25th, the Battle of Lee Gulf is over. The Imperial Japanese Navy has ceased to exist. 4 battleships, including both Yamato-class giants, are gone. 4 carriers burn on the sea floor, and dozens of cruisers and destroyers litter the Philippine waters. The Americans' only loss was some well-spent ammunition. If you're curious what would happen if a modern carrier fought at Pearl Harbor, check out the video on your screen now.